A brief history of Antigua, from pre-Columbian times to modern day. Antigua, one of the two major islands of the Caribbean nation of Antigua and Barbuda, has a deep and complex history shaped by indigenous heritage, European colonization, African enslavement, and post-independence nation building. Located in the Eastern Caribbean, it plays a significant role in regional politics, tourism, and the global economy. Its story spans centuries, from its earliest settlers to its current place as a vibrant democratic nation. Long before Europeans arrived, Antigua was inhabited by successive waves of indigenous peoples. The earliest known inhabitants were the Seboni, a hunter-gatherer group who lived on the island around 3100 BCE. They were followed by the Arawaks, a peaceful, agricultural people who migrated from the Orinoco River Basin in South America around 1200 BCE. The Arawaks cultivated crops like cassava, sweet potatoes, and corn, and introduced the canoe and hammock to the region. Later, the Caribs, a more warlike group, displaced the Arawaks in many parts of the Caribbean, including Antigua, although the extent of their control over the island is debated. The indigenous name for Antigua was Wadadli, a name still affectionately used today by locals. Christopher Columbus sighted Antigua in 1493 during his second voyage to the Americas and named it Santa Maria de la Antigua after a church in Seville, Spain. However, the Spanish made no significant settlements. The island was largely ignored by European powers until the British colonized it in 1632. To establish a profitable economy, the British began planting tobacco, which was eventually replaced by sugarcane in the late 17th century. The shift to sugar made Antigua one of the most lucrative British colonies in the Caribbean, but at a devastating human cost. Tens of thousands of enslaved Africans were brought to the island to work on sugar plantations. At the height of the sugar economy in the 18th century, over 90% of the population was enslaved, making Antigua deeply reliant on African labor and creating lasting social and racial divisions. Resistance to slavery was persistent, including revolts and maroon communities. The abolition movement grew in strength, and slavery was abolished in the British Empire in 1834, with full emancipation granted in 1838. The end of slavery did not bring immediate economic or political freedom. Most formerly enslaved people continued to work on sugar plantations for meager wages, and political power remained in the hands of the white plantocracy. Throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, economic hardship, especially during downturns in the sugar industry, led to growing discontent. Small movements advocating for labor rights and political reform slowly took shape. In the 1930s, a labor movement emerged under the leadership of Vere Cornwall V.C. Byrd, who became a dominant political figure for decades. He founded the Antigua Trades and Labor Union in 1939, which evolved into the Antigua Labor Party. In 1967, Antigua became an associated state of the United Kingdom, gaining full control over internal affairs, while Britain retained responsibility for defense and foreign relations. The push for full independence gained momentum in the 1970s, led again by V.C. Byrd and the Antigua Labor Party. On November 1, 1981, Antigua and Barbuda became an independent nation, with Byrd as its first prime minister. His leadership, and later that of his son, Lester Byrd, dominated the nation's politics for decades. Antigua and Barbuda is a parliamentary democracy within the Commonwealth, recognizing the British monarch as its ceremonial head of state. The bicameral legislature consists of a House of Representatives and a Senate. The current Prime Minister, as of 2025, is Gaston Brown, leading the Antigua Labour Party. His administration focuses on economic diversification, tourism development, and climate resilience. Antigua's economy is highly service-oriented, with tourism accounting for over 60% of GDP and more than half of employment. The island boasts beautiful beaches, luxury resorts, and cruise ship facilities, making it a prime destination for North American and European travelers. Antiguan culture is a vibrant blend of African, British, and indigenous influences. English is the official language, and Antiguan Creole is widely spoken. The island's most famous cultural event is Carnival, held each summer to celebrate emancipation. It features calypso and soca music, pageantry, dancing, and vibrant costumes. Cricket is a major sport, and the island has produced legendary players like Sir Vivian Richards. Religion plays a significant role, with Christianity, especially Anglicanism and Methodism, being predominant. Antigua's history is a powerful story of transformation, from an island shaped by colonization and slavery to a proud and independent democracy. Please share your experiences with Antigua and its history in the comments below. Thank you for clicking the like icon and for subscribing to this channel.
Our story begins over 1,000 years ago on a small but beautiful island in the Caribbean. This island would one day be known as Puerto Rico. Long before European explorers set sail across the ocean, Puerto Rico was home to the Taino people. They called their island Lydekken, which means Land of the Valiant Lord. The Tainos lived peacefully, fishing in the crystal-clear waters, growing cassava, and building their ukayeques, or villages ruled by chiefs called caciques. Life was simple until the sails of ships occupied by explorers appeared on the horizon. In 1493, Christopher Columbus arrived on Puerto Rico's shores during his second voyage to the Americas. The Spanish quickly claimed the island, renaming it San Juan Bautista after John the Baptist. But it wasn't just a name that changed, it was the beginning of a new era full of conquest, resistance, and transformation. The Spanish built settlements and forts, including the famous El Morro, to defend their new colony. But for the Taino, life turned into a nightmare. Many were forced into labor under the harsh encomienda system. Others perished from European diseases, and within decades, the once thriving Taino population had nearly vanished. To replace them, the Spanish brought enslaved Africans whose culture and resilience would become a vital part of Puerto Rico's identity. For centuries, Puerto Rico was a key military outpost in Spain's empire. Its location made it a gateway to the Americas, and Spain fought off pirates and rival empires to keep control. The island became a diverse community of Spanish, indigenous, and African cultures, which formed the roots of Puerto Rico's unique identity. But as the world changed, so did the island's destiny. By the 1800s, many Puerto Ricans were tired of Spanish rule. They became inspired by independence movements across Latin Americas. Rebels like Dr. Ramon Emeterio Betances led uprisings, including El Grito de Lares in 1868. Though the revolution failed, it planted the seed of resistance. Spain made some reforms, but change was on the horizon, and it wasn't coming from Spain. In 1898, the Spanish-American War erupted, and the U.S. saw Puerto Rico as a strategic prize. When the war ended, Spain was forced to surrender the island. Puerto Rico was no longer Spanish, but it wasn't independent either. It now belonged to the United States. Life under U.S. rule brought both hope and hardship. Roads, schools, and industries expanded, but Puerto Ricans had little say in their own government. In 1917, the U.S. granted them citizenship, just in time for thousands to be drafted into World War I. For decades, Puerto Rico remained in political limbo. Not a state, not a country, but something in between. By the 1950s, Puerto Rico underwent a transformation. Governor Luis Muñoz Marin launched Operation Bootstrap, turning the island into a manufacturing hub. In 1952, Puerto Rico became a U.S. Commonwealth, Estado Libre Asociado, with more local autonomy but still under federal control. For many, the island's future seemed bright, but challenges lay ahead. In the decades that followed, Puerto Rico faced economic highs and lows. Factories closed, leading to debt and unemployment. Many Puerto Ricans left for the mainland U.S. in search of better opportunities. Then, in 2017, Hurricane Maria devastated the island, exposing deep struggles with infrastructure and government response. Yet, through it all, Puerto Ricans have endured, rebuilding with resilience and pride. Today, Puerto Rico remains at a crossroads. Its people continue to debate their future: statehood, independence, or remaining a commonwealth. But one thing is certain: Puerto Rico is more than an island. It's a people, a culture, and a spirit that refuses to be broken. From the Taino warriors to today's artists, activists, and leaders, Puerto Rico's story is still being written. And no matter what happens next, one thing remains true: Puerto Rico se levanta, Puerto Rico rises.